If you have hearing loss and live in Australia, then this is going to be some fantastic news for you. Hey guys, welcome back to the Dr. Cliff AUD vlog. This is vlog number 227, and today I have a very special announcement to make. But before I get into that announcement, if you could do me a huge favor, click the like button. You know it helps out the channel. And if you want to see more videos just like this one, make sure that you hit that subscribe button with notification bell so you get notified every single time I publish a new video. That being said, it's greatly appreciated. Now let's get on to the announcement today, which is I have officially launched the HearingUp Australia Provider Network. Basically what this means is that, 4 years ago, when I started the HearingUp network in the United States, it has grown to be about 150 different clinicians in the United States area that follow comprehensive audiologic best practices to ensure that their patients can hear their absolute best with their hearing aids. Well, to give you a little bit of a backstory here, I was invited to go speak in Australia at their national convention. And basically, I got the opportunity to talk about best practices while I was there. And then I had Jane McDonald, who is with the HBA, which is the Hearing Business Alliance in Australia. She and her organization represent a bunch of different independent hearing care professionals right there in Australia. And she came up to me with Stephen Logan, who's also with HBA, after one of my talks, and she's like, hey, this is really great information. Would you be interested in coming back out to Australia to speak to the HBA members at our next conference? And so that's why you probably saw me posting that I had gone back to Australia again 8 months after the first time that I went there. And that was to be able to present to their organization and the members of their organization. And essentially the whole plan was, the whole time is that, okay, we have this HearingUp network in the United States. It's been growing like crazy. The quality of care at these clinics is exceptionally high, and it helps us allow consumers or individuals with hearing loss to differentiate the difference between a really high quality hearing care professional and everybody else. And so in Australia, they kind of have the same issues that we have here in the United States, which is if you have hearing loss and you're trying to find somebody who is really good at treating hearing loss, it's very hard to find those individuals. And I would argue it's even harder to find a high quality hearing care professional in Australia than it is here in the United States. So what we wanted to do is start a HearingUp network, but do it in Australia. So people who are in Australia have an easy way to identify a hearing care professional who's going to be following best practices. Now, really quick here, if you do not know what best practices are, they are essentially a long list of considerations and procedures that a hearing care professional must do in order to maximize your performance with hearing aids. This has everything to do between the testing of your hearing loss, the treating of your hearing loss, and providing you with aftercare after you've been treated initially with hearing aids. And, a very small percentage of hearing care professionals actually follow all of these best practices. For instance, real ear measurement is a best practice. It is one best practice inside of all of these other best practice considerations. And so if someone does do real ear measurement during your hearing aid fitting, that's fantastic. They're doing one component of best practices, but that does not mean that they're comprehensive. And if other areas are not completed in terms of best practices, then your ultimate performance with hearing aids is going to decline. And that's not what you want. You do not want a limited amount of benefit out of your hearing aids. You want the maximum amount of benefit. So when I went back out to Australia this second time, they probably had, 100 to 150 of their members in attendance at this conference. I gave a variety of different talks at the conference, and one of those talks was about the HearingUp network and about how we want to be able to launch the HearingUp network in Australia. But it is very hard to launch a new network. And so basically the requirement is that if I'm going to do this in Australia and actually make content for individuals in Australia to find a hearing care professional, then we need to have a significant amount of their members join the network to justify the additional effort of doing so, and to not have a chicken and the egg issue where we're talking to individuals in Australia and telling them to go to a hearing care professional who follows best practices, but we don't have anyone for them to go to. And then the other side of it is that it's very hard to get a lot of hearing care professionals on board with this line of messaging when they don't have a whole lot of people who are looking to find them at this point. The good news is that over the last 7 years of me creating content, Australia has become a massive consumer of my videos. So essentially they're ranked 5th globally in terms of the countries that watch my video content the most. But here's the crazy thing. Per capita, my videos are actually more popular in Australia than what they are here in the United States. And it is wildly successful. The HearingUp network, which is driven by my content, is wildly successful here in the United States. We have a lot of members who get a lot of individuals into their clinic who are looking for extremely high quality hearing healthcare. And to think of how successful it is here in the United States and how happy individuals with hearing loss have been with these network providers, it is going to be, in my opinion, even more successful in Australia for hearing care professionals to be a part of this and for individuals with hearing loss to be able to find a hearing care professional who follows these best practices. So we literally, when did I go out there? In February is when we really started the push of actually starting this network. And here we are in June. So over the last 4 months, Jane and Steven over at HBA have been working extremely hard to get their members on board because you have to go through a vetting process. And I'm having the HBA do that vetting process. And they essentially are going to be able to launch with around 40 of their members on day one, just like that. In fact, by the time you're watching this vlog right now, it has been launched. So if you go to HearingUp.com and you're going to search for a provider, there is a designation for Australia. So you can actually, if you're in the United States, of course, you can click the United States designation. There's some Canadians in there as well, up in Canada. And then you could also, if you live in Australia or you travel to Australia or whatever the case may be, you can find a HearingUp network member now in Australia, which is the most exciting thing in the world, if you ask me. It really makes me feel good to know that of all the people who reach out to me from Australia, people with hearing loss who reach out to me from Australia, and they're asking me, Cliff, where can I go to where the provider does the things that you talk about on your channel? I don't know where to go. I've been going to different places. I've been going to Specsavers. I've been going to Costco. I just don't know where to go to get high quality hearing health care. And I can now proudly say that there are some excellent hearing care professionals who are committed to following best practices the same way that we are here in the United States with the HearingUp network. And so I can, without a doubt or without any reservations at all, be confident in sending you to one of these HearingUp Australia members and be very confident that you're going to get an extremely high quality of care that you will not be able to find anywhere else in Australia. Now, what would I like you to do? I'd like you to go over to the HearingUp.com website and actually go check it out, make sure that everything is smooth, and let me know what you think about how you're able to find someone in Australia. So go over to HearingUp.com, click on Find a Provider, see if you can toggle it over to the Australian provider map to where you can go and look for a provider in Sydney and Melbourne and Adelaide and all the other different cities that you have, the major cities that you have out there in Australia, and let me know if it's working well. And if one of the providers listed there is your actual hearing care professional, I want you to let me know. Let me know down in the comments section and tell me about your experience going there. My goal here is to make sure that I'm connecting people with hearing loss with an excellent hearing care professional, and even doing it in Australia. And any way that I can help facilitate that, I would love any ideas on how to do that. Short of me developing an Australian accent to try to be more influential inside of that market. I think everybody at this point knows that I am not Australian and I do not have an Australian accent by any stretch of the imagination, but just trying to have some fun here. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. I'm super excited. I don't think that this will be the last international HearingUp that we launch. We may be launching additional HearingUp locations internationally, or countries internationally. So if you do not live in the United States, you do not live in Australia, tell me where you live and if you would like to see a HearingUp network in your particular country. But that being said, I'm super excited about this, and I'm greatly appreciative of you sticking around with me for today's vlog. And as always, I'll see you next week.